Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television, here with Lizzie Spalding at the Marion County Extension Office, and we're going to make some healthy alternatives for our holiday usual traditional meals, right?
Right. We're going to do some dessert options today. Some of those pies that we have that are loaded full of calories, we're going to do some alternatives to those. So instead of our apple pie, this is a different recipe we can do. It's called slow cooker apples. Really easy. Using the crock pot, we always love those dishes because you just put them in there and you're good to go for a while, and it still tastes good. People like baked apples, so you have the apples, they're not going to miss their apple pie, and it's a lot less calories. So
there you go. Sounds good. Now we're starting off with some Granny Smith apples, right?
Yes. This recipe calls for 6 large Granny Smith apples. We have 4 large and 4 not so large because I had some left in the refrigerator, so, do what you will at your house.
Exactly.
And we're just going to start slicing those up.
Right, and we found out today that Granny Smith apples are very strong in the core.
They are very strong. I knew this already. That's why I was doing a little...
You're trying to use one of those slicers, and it just wasn't going to work for us. So you want to make sure you give yourself the time to chop up your apples for it. Now, we've talked before, there are lots of various different kinds of apples, obviously. These are Granny Smiths. Are they normally what are used in baking? Like if you're going to make an apple pie?
It depends. Yeah, it depends on the taste that you want, really. But Granny Smith apples are used a lot in baking. Just because they're, the tart flavor gives a little something different. When you add the sugar and the spices in there with it, it kind of just goes. But there are other apples you could use for this. You could use a Jonathan apple it has down here as another recommendation besides the Granny Smith.
Jonathan apple. Okay. Is that the red one? A red one?
I believe so. So you're not stuck with just Granny Smith. So if you don't like that tartness, I don't feel like that's what you have to use. Some people don't like green apples. As we get those cut, we're just going to stick those in our cooker. Now, I'm not going to peel these. You can if you want. Whenever I eat baked apples, I like to peel on there. That's all your personal preference, though.
Okay. Because when they're baking, they're going to soften up anyway.
Right. That's exactly right.
And if you don't have the core on, if you don't have the outside on there, it may get kind of mushy, don't you think?
It could. Could definitely get mushy. The center part of that one.
Make sure you get rid of all the seeds.
And it kind of depends too on your apple. These look nice on the outsides. If you had some that had some blemishes, bruises, spots on them, you're going to want to peel those because it's not going to look good. I always talk about how our food looks good and we want it to.
Right.
We eat with our eyes sometimes as much as our mouth, so you want them to look appetizing.
And enjoy it that way as well.
Right.
So again, we're making our apples. It's a healthy alternative to apple pie.
Right.
We can all use a healthy alternative at the holidays, particularly if you're going to be eating a whole lot of different things.
Yes,
if you can just save a little bit on each of the different things you're eating, you can eat more.
That's true, and I tell people, they talk about the healthy alternatives to the recipes, and they're like, well, that's not what I want to eat. For me, it just kind of depends on what you want to eat at the holidays. For me, I like dessert food, so if I can make healthier main dishes and side dishes, then I'm going to do that so I can eat my piece of pie. It's all about just deciding what you want to do.
It's not about what you can't do, it's about what you can do to make it better so they can eat the things you want to later.
And like these, you can still eat these slow cooker apples. You're still going to get some of that sweetness. You're still going to get a dessert food, but it's going to be a lot less calorie than your traditional apple pie. So you don't have to feel guilty about it.
Absolutely. And this recipe comes to us from,
this actually is from Kansas State is where I got these recipes. So
okay.
They have compiled these, and then they're from some different sources.
And you can get a copy by contacting the Extension office here in Marion County. Or if you're in another county, they can help you get lined up as well. You might contact Lizzie here because they all work together as well.
I know Dana has these recipes, and I can easily get them to Cabrina. So.
That's right. You can share them all around.
Yes.
And what's fun about the different recipes here too, they are a healthier option too, but you're using stuff that's kind of appropriate for the season too, you know, because apples are in season still, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. They kind of go till the winter?
They go through the winter.
Okay. So you might even be able to get some of them locally, going to the Family Eye Market maybe, or if you know people who have apples, or just, you know, at the stores, they're probably going to have some local options also for it, which is always good.
Like I said, you're talking about these being a lower calorie. I have some conversions of the calories and things from your traditional recipes in this one. A traditional apple pie actually has 380 calories per slice. For that, 380 calories is quite a few calories. These slow cooker apples only have 110.
Oh, wow.
Per serving.
So you could have 3 servings and still save.
No, you can have the one serving and cut all of those calories out from that one piece of apple pie. And you know, these slow cooker apples are having the same things in them that your apple pie would. You've got some brown sugar, you're going to have some cinnamon and some nutmeg. So it's going to have those same flavors, it's just in a lot healthier version. That crust really gets you. That's
what it's doing it, huh? Okay, and I think you're going to later on maybe show us a way to help with that too, right?
I am. We're going to do another adaptation a little later.
So, at the holidays, you know, pies are kind of big for Thanksgiving and Christmas and what have you. What's your favorite kind of, do you like pie, first of all?
I do like pie.
What's your favorite pie?
Well, I like pumpkin. It kind of depends on the holiday. Thanksgiving, I definitely want pumpkin pie. We don't really eat a lot of pie at Christmas time. We have a lot of cakes at Christmas.
Okay.
So it kind of depends on which holiday it is.
But you like pumpkin better than apple?
I do. I like pumpkin pie. And I was actually doing a class yesterday, and we were talking about holiday portion sizes and things like that. And we were talking about those desserts. And if it's something that is kind of nostalgic for you or your favorite for that time of the year, like for me, for Thanksgiving, I really like pumpkin pie. So Thanksgiving comes, you know, eat the pumpkin pie. But if it's something that you have year-round, not necessarily a dessert, but any food, like if you're somebody who cooks green bean casserole all year round,
right,
well then maybe pass on that for Thanksgiving because you know it's got a lot of calories in it and you can have that anytime.
Right, have another option.
Yeah, if it's something, a special dish, you're allowed to indulge a little, but those other ones that you have, mashed potatoes, full of calories, who doesn't have mashed potatoes all the time? You know, it's kind of...
Oh, mashed potatoes are good.
Gary's like, no, I'm not the mashed potatoes.
I love mashed potatoes. I think you do almost anything with a potato, and I like it, except make it sweet.
we had this discussion.
Okay, so the little ones.
The little ones will cut through the apple peeler, but the big ones will not.
Yeah, those big ones are too. Well, that's a lot easier than chopping it up, huh?
It is. It saves you time. So if you want to use all small apples instead of the big ones and use a apple slicer and core, feel free to do that instead.
Absolutely.
Save you some time and some arm workout.
Exactly. That'd be good. That's just an apple core.
Apple core, and slicer. You can get them pretty much anywhere. It's a handy little gadget.
So with the pumpkin pie, does it really just depend on how it's made, I guess, whether a pumpkin pie or an apple pie is more fattening?
They're both pretty bad. But it all depends on the recipe you have, what you put in it. So.
But if you do it this way, it's not as bad. I guess it's a lot to do with the crust and how the crust is made, I guess, as to how fattening the item is.
Yes. The crust does add a lot of calories. So that's one reason why these are so much better. The filling's not going to be really that much different than your traditional pie, but it doesn't have a crust on it, so you're saving some calories there.
Yeah, my mom used to make apple pies, so I like them. But we used to buy pumpkin pie, and I liked pumpkin pie as well. So let's see, what I like about pumpkin pie is putting the Cool Whip on it, or whipped cream, or whatever.
That's another way to cut some calories, is to not put that cornbread and whipped cream on there.
But I'm only doing it at Thanksgiving.
Right, that is true. If it's the only time you're doing it, then we're allowed. It's the thing I always tell people, you know, I'm not telling you to deprive yourself of anything special. If you like pumpkin pie, eat your pumpkin pie, but don't eat a fourth of the pie is not a slice. So just be aware of those portion sizes whenever you're eating it.
It's like sometimes when you go to these
Mindful.
pizza places and they give you like a slice that is literally a quarter of the pizza pie, and you're like, huh, but I only had a slice.
Right. That's not really a slice. That's whenever we need to remember those portion sizes.
Portion control, right?
Portion control, right. And these apples, I will say, I haven't talked about that, what temperature I have the cooker on. You can either cook these for 2 hours on high, or you can cook them for 4 hours on low. So we have them on high, so we're going to cook them for
2 hours.
2 hours. Mm-hmm.
And so you went with the 6 large or some kind of combination of that.
Right, or you can do a combination of that. Like I said, I had the smaller ones in the fridge from another recipe I had made, so I used 2 of those to the 1 large apple. But the smaller ones are a lot easier to cut up. So
now, last month we made an apple recipe as well with the salad, and you used your citrus to kind of keep the. Mm-hmm. You're not going to do that on this one, I assume, right?
I'm not going to do that on that one because they're already cooking. So.
Okay.
We're going to use 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And this is light brown sugar.
Another way to save calories? Or just the coloring's light?
Yeah, the sugar is still going to have some in there. But it's only 3 tablespoons. So
that's not bad.
That's not bad.
No. You need to have some flavor.
We're going to put in a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg.
I like nutmeg. I like that flavoring.
Just a little bit in there.
It's very autumny.
Yes, and then we're going to add some cinnamon. We're going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon.
I like cinnamon too.
Cinnamon's a staple, I think, for Thanksgiving and Christmas. You have to have it.
Yeah.
Put a teaspoon of that in. And we're just going to kind of mix those up a little bit.
These are our slow cooker apples, a good alternative to the traditional apple pie for the holiday season.
Right, but you're still getting your apple flavor, you're getting your cinnamon, your brown sugar, your nutmeg, you're still getting those holiday flavors in there. The aroma is still going to smell like an apple pie cooking. It's still going to be good. So
yeah, it's all good. And it's a third of the calories of one serving of this is a third of the calories of one serving of traditional apple pie.
Right, so you don't have to feel guilty after you eat it.
If you eat a serving or 2.
110 calories, you don't have to feel bad about that one.
But you can just jump up and down a couple times and burn that off.
And then we're just going to sprinkle this mixture over our apples. So I'm going to kind of cut those in there. And we're going to put the top on this, and as our apples cook, it'll get absorbed through.
Okay, so I guess the liquid in the apples is creating the liquid element, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we're just going to put our top on there and lock it. Like I said, I have this on high, so we're going to cook that for 2 hours, but you could turn it on low and cook it for 4. It all depends on your schedule that you've got going. Once, though, after the juice does start coming out of these apples, you are going to want to take that lid off and stir them maybe about halfway through. That way it gets good and mixed up. That liquid's going to coat the apples, and you're going to get an even distribution of your brown sugar, your nutmeg, and your cinnamon. So they'll be nice and covered.
Great. So that's the slow cooker apples. You can get the recipe by contacting the extension office. Stay with us. We're going to come back. We're going to have another healthy alternative for holiday cooking.
Holiday treat.
Great. Stay with us.